Kunja Vihari Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yamunatira Vanatari Yamunatira Vanatari Yamunatira Vanatari Yamunatira Vanatari Jaya Radha Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Raghupada, Jaya Raghupada, Raghupada, Srila Raghupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Jnanatimirandasya. Om Jnanatimirandasya. Jnananjanashalakaya. Jnananjanashalakaya. Chakshurunmilitam yena. Chakshurunmilitam yena. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya. Namo Vishnupadaya. Krishna Preshaya Bhutale. Krishna Preshaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta. Swaminiti Namine. Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve. Namaste Saraswate Deve. Gauravani Pracharine. Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Paschatya Deshatarine. Paschatya Deshatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya. Namo Mahavadanyaya. Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya. Namine Gauravishe Namaha. Namine Gauravishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho. He Krishna Karuna Sindho. Deenabandho Jagatpate. Deenabandho Jagatpate. Gopesha Gopika Kanta. Gopesha Gopika Kanta. Radha Kanta Namostute. Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Vrishabhanusute Devi. Vrishabhanusute Devi. Pranamami Haripriye. Pranamami Haripriye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha. Kripa sindhubhya eva cha. Kripa sindhubhya eva cha. Patitanam pavanebhyo. Patitanam pavanebhyo. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda. Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara. Shri Advaita Gadadhara. Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Class based upon Bhagavad Gita. Today's class is very, very important, especially for all the youths. Actually, be it any age group of people, everyone is so much afflicted by this thing called lust. This is considered as the greatest enemy. Bhagavad Gita in Krishna only in Bhagavad Gita he only says that lust is the greatest enemy of the human beings, of all living entities. First of all, tell me what is lust. explanation.
Attraction towards opposite.
So mainly we think that lust is just the opposite towards this attraction towards opposite gender, but it is much more. It is attraction, intense attraction or intense desire to get any sense of it, not just lust. Like if a person is hankering too much for gulab jamun, that can also be considered under kama or lust. So an intense desire or intense hankering for any sense object, it can be called as lust. You see, this whole world is running around this only. Everyone wants to satisfy their senses somehow or the other. When someone develops an intense greed that without it I cannot live, then it comes under the category of lust. So this whole world is running after this only, and everyone is madly attracted to it. Everyone, and even spiritualists, they are also struggling with these things. So in today's class we will know more about this and what Krishna further says in Bhagavad Gita, how to control this, how to curb this, we will see today. So today's presentation is dedicated to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who taught us through Bhagavad Gita that how we can win over this great enemy, which is one of the greatest obstructions in spirituality. So it was he only who taught us the practicality of Bhagavad Gita, that it works even in today's age. Because before him also there were many commentators, many professional writers, many authors who gave their own presentations or interpretations of Bhagavad Gita. But none of that book could create such an impact which this book, Bhagavad Gita, as it is created. And you know why? Why only Bhagavad Gita became so famous that more than 50-60 crore copies have been distributed across the world? Why not others? Correct. So he said in his interviews also, he said that my only credit is I presented it as it is. As I have heard from my parampara, I have not given any of my interpretation or any outside contemplation. I have represented it as it is. And that's why it became so famous. And he said also that there are many foolish commentators who try to give their own interpretation, thinking that Krishna might say this. Like for example, when Krishna says Sarva Dharman Parityaja, some of the Mayavadi commentators, they say that Krishna is not referring to him, he is referring to someone born within him, and all these kinds of interpretation. So interpretation when it is required, when things are not clear. Here Krishna is clearly saying surrender unto me, so why you are giving interpretation? Interpretation is required, जब subject topic clear नहीं है तब we can give an interpretation. So Prabhupada was like that. He said that Bhagavad Gita is as clear as diamond. It does not need any interpretation. Like he gave an example that these attempts of this foolish commentator to provide interpretation is like showing torchlight to sun. ताकि sun अच्छे से दिखे तो वो torchlight मारे. But it's meaningless. Sun is already very bright, and whoever looks at it can see everything. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita is like sun. It is already very clear, and any foolish commentator we should not listen to him. This was taught to us by Srila Prabhupada. So who is our real enemy? So everyone has enemies. For someone, boss is enemy. For someone, friends becomes enemies. For someone, family itself becomes enemies. Neighbors can be enemies. Pakistan can be enemies. Like that. We have so many enemies according to our bodily conception. For someone, mind is enemy. So we have so many enemies. But why is lust considered to be greatest enemy? And how we can curb it? That we'll see today. So in third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this section comes specifically. So there Arjuna asks a very interesting question, which is very, very relevant for us, and Krishna answers it. Let's see what the question was asked by Arjuna. Repeat after me. Arjuna Uvacha Atha Kena Prayuktoyam Papam Charati Purushah Anichannapi Vashneya Baladiva Niyojitaha.
Arjuna said, O descendant of Krishna, by what is one equal to sinful acts, even unwillingly as if engaged by force?
So Arjuna asked this interesting question. He asked, like we see so many people commit sinful activity, especially in this age of Kali. Almost everyone is committing sinful activity. But we also see that so many times, even if one is unwilling to do, still he commits this sinful activity, as if someone is forcing him to do. Example, a thief, he knows that stealing is wrong, will be bad for me. But still some force comes to him and he commits this activity. He knows that after I commit this activity, I will be punished nicely. But still some force comes, and following that force, he commits this activity. We all have this experience. We all know that some activities are not good for us. But still some force comes and we do that activity and later regret it. So so Arjuna is asking that why things like this happen. There was once a person who was sharing his experience. Once he was traveling in a train, और ट्रेन में सब वो केटरिंग वाले आते हैं, ये ले लो वो ले लो. So an old person, he was there, he was traveling with his family. So केटरिंग वाले आते, समोसा ले लो. So all young boys were there, they thought हाँ we will eat samosa. सब लोग ले रहे 3-4 समोसा. That old person, he also got inspired. But मैं भी खा लूँगा इतने सारे, अभी भी मैं जवान हूँ. So he also ordered so many samosas. He ate. At that time he ate. He knew it will create problem later, because in old age digestive system doesn't work that. You cannot digest such kind of things very easily. Fried items and all. So he thought, let me eat. और वो खा गए सबके साथ, और फिर सब लोग सो गए ट्रेन में. सोने का टाइम हो गया, सोने चले गए. And at night 3:30-4 a.m. के बीच में everyone woke up with a loud screams. So that old person, he was catching his stomach and he was shouting loudly. He was in so much of pain. And that devotee was saying that it was very nice because it's already 3:30, so मेरा उठने का time हो गया था. It was that alarm for me. So everyone woke up. What happened? And this old person, he was suffering like anything. और बीच ट्रेन में कुछ दवा भी नहीं कर सकते उसके लिए. No, he suffered like that. But at that time, didn't he knew that this will happen? He knew his digestive system doesn't work, but still, by force, he ate all those. So why such things happen? Is it super soul within us who is forcing? And what is that force?
The desire which comes from our mind controls the senses. But we have to control our senses with the help of intelligence.
So such things are shown by mind with the entity called lust. So let's see what Krishna says. Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Kama Esha Krodha Esha
Kama Esha Krodha Esha
Rajoguna Samudbhava
Rajoguna Samudbhava
Mahashano Mahapapma
Mahashano Mahapapma
Vidyenam Niha Vairinam
Vidyenam Niha Vairinam.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into work, and which is all the devouring sinful enemy of this world.
A very important verse. Everyone is even made to memorize this verse. It's very, very relevant. So Arjuna asks that what is that force? And here Krishna is saying it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with material mode of passion. So modes everyone remember, no? How many modes are there?
Three.
Three modes. What are those?
Goodness, passion, ignorance.
So Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun are good modes of goodness, passion and ignorance. So these are the three modes. So this lust, it is born of contact with material mode of passion. So out of three modes, this lust is related to mode of passion. Like lust borns from mode of passion. So, and later what happens? Krishna says, lust, when it is unfulfilled, it turns into wrath or anger. So when lust arises, when we want to enjoy some sense object, and when it is not fulfilled, anger comes. So that's how from lust it's born, later it is transformed into anger. And this all happens under the influence of mode of passion, and which is all devouring sinful enemy. So when one is in contact of mode of passion, at that time lust to enjoy sense object, it develops. It happens under the influence of mode of passion. When one is in mode of goodness, lust cannot disturb him. But when one falls to the mode of passion, lust starts automatically. So, and this lust is described as all devouring sinful enemy. You see the adjectives which are used. All devouring and sinful. And how does this lust convert into wrath or anger? And why is it considered as all devouring sinful enemy? That we will see through a flow chart. So in Bhagavad Gita 2.62 and 63, a very nice flow chart has been explained. So first of all, there is a sense object. As soon as हमारी नज़र पड़ती है किसी sense object पे गुलाब जामुन को, उससे क्या होगा? When you contemplate on that sense object, what happens? Attachment to it develops. You start thinking about a sense object and attachment develops. Like for example, you are staying in your PG and you are working on laptop and meeting is going on and another PG mate is there. He is there with you and वो सोचता है कि I'll eat something outside today. He goes outside, he sees pastry खाने का मन हो, वो 2 pastry लेकर के आता है. One for himself and one for his friend. So now what happens? He brings those 2 pastries to the room and he shows you that देखो मैं pastry लेकर के आया हूँ. And दूर से he sees that he has bought some pastry for me. But now you are in meeting, you cannot immediately go there. And then he says that I have kept this pastry here, you eat it later whenever your meeting is over. Now what will happen? He is in the meeting, but still उसका mind कहाँ चला गया अभी? Pastry पे चला गया. कौन सी लाया? शायद चॉकलेट फ्लेवर की होगी. And उसका mind already is tasting it. His tongue is already started to salivate. He is in the meeting and he is starting to contemplate. Now when he is meditating on it, what is happening? Attachment is getting developed. He is getting attached that when I will taste it, when I will taste it. After attachment, what happens when attachment is increased? The thing develops is lust. Now he deeply wants to enjoy that taste. And this is what is the strategy of outsiders, these shopping malls and all these people. They also use this kind of strategy to develop lust and thirst. Like for example, Domino's. You all know Domino's, right? Pizza. So when we order Domino's, pizza आता है, उसके साथ बहुत सारा चिली फ्लेक्स भी भेजते हैं. तो जो जितना चाहिए होता है उससे थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही भेजते हैं वो. So why they do like that? It is expensive also. उनको महंगा भी पड़ता है, but still they do. Why they do like that? It's their strategy. Because pizza खा लिया, chili flakes you have used, but still some is left. So you will not throw it. What you will do? You will keep it in fridge. रेफ्रिजरेटर में रखेंगे. And then वो चीज़ हो गया, फिर एक दिन चला गया, 2 दिन चला गया, फिर फ्रिज खोल के हम तो देखते रहते हैं. At that time you will see, oh, chili flakes is still there. वो तुमको Domino's की याद दिलाएगी. Automatically you will start thinking of that day पिज़्ज़ा खाया था, कितना मज़ा आया था उस दिन. And then again contemplation start हो गया, meditation is started. Now attachment is developed, from that lust is developed. Now you want to eat it again, and then you will call them again, please send me one more pizza. So this is their strategy, that somehow or the other they try to get into your mind. Once they get into your mind, everything is very easy for them. They can make business very easily. So this is how lust is developed. And when this lust, it is unfulfilled, what happens? Anger comes. Now, जो पेस्ट्री वाले एग्जांपल पर वापस आते हैं, आपने देखा अभी आपकी मीटिंग खत्म हो गई. Now your meeting is over, लैपटॉप बंद किया. Now you went, you were thinking now I'll enjoy that pastry. और बॉक्स खोल के देखा, गायब, खाली. At that time what will happen? You'll be very very angry because attachment इतना develop हो गया, lust has been developed. Now nothing is there. You'll be कौन खा गया? किसने चुरा दिया मेरा pastry? So from that anger is getting developed. So anger is called brother of lust. Wherever lust is there, anger will definitely follow. Because it's not that every time lust will be fulfilled. At some point of time it will remain unfulfilled, and at that time anger will definitely come. And anger is connected to which mode? No, lust is connected to mode of passion. Anger मतलब तुम्हारी बुद्धि घूम जाती है. You fall into a kind of illusion. So illusion is mode of it's a property of mode of ignorance. Because in anger we do stupid things. We'll see what happens. So from anger what happens? Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha means bewilderment or illusion. When one becomes angry, he becomes completely illusion. He doesn't know what to do. And from illusion, from bewilderment, what happens? Loss of intelligence. So intelligence is the repository where it is said that intelligence guides us what is right for us and what is wrong for us. Now when intelligence is lost, you forget what is right for me, what is wrong for me. And then buddhi nashat, what happens? Pranashyanti. One falls down, one is ready to do anything. From there only everything happens. Social crime, suicide, rape, all kinds of sinful activities is born from this only. So it started from simple meditation or contemplation on sense object, which transformed into attachment, which transformed into lust, into anger, into bewilderment, into loss of intelligence. And now you are ready to do anything into that anger. Social crime, suicide, anything. And there were so many examples. In anger, people forget everything. So once a husband and wife, they were fighting a lot because of some reason in their household activities. And what happened is that they had a small baby, small child, and he was also crying a lot. So that mother, she was already in conversation with the father that they were fighting, and she was blessing the baby also. So at that time, baby is also crying, so she became so much frustrated in her anger, she threw her off the balcony from the 10th or 11th floor, and that baby fell. And immediately she realized कि ये मैंने क्या कर दिया. Immediately, and they ran down, but already it was too late. 10th floor से फेंकेंगे तो क्या होगा. So that thing happened in that mode of anger. When so much anger is afflicted, even we forget what to do. We commit all kinds of stupid things. Like in World Cup also, when we lost 2019 World Cup जब हारे थे, people committed suicide. Like 25-year-old boy, Sambaru नाम था उसका, he drank poison. और for such a petty thing, हर 4 साल में आता है ये हारे तो हारे क्या हो गया. But for these small things, they become so much attached to it, then ultimately they think this is the life and they commit these sinful activities. There are even son who kill father for IPL match. कि सट्टा लगाने का पैसा नहीं दे रहा मेरे को, मैंने मार दिया उसको. Even that game PUBG, people got so much addicted that they kill their own family. One mother, she stole the phone की पूरे दिन PUBG खेलता रहता है, he killed his own mother. Like this much people develop lust that they forget, and when anger comes they forget what they are doing. Boys even throwing acid on girls, and so all the sinful activities you see, the basis is this only, lust. And now we can compare this to falling from a mountain cliff. Like mountain cliff, a person is running, and let's say he is fallen from the mountain cliff. Now at what altitude can he stop himself? Like let's say this is the cliff. So at what altitude can he stop himself when he is falling? This or this? ग्राउंड पे तो गिरेगा, वहाँ तो ऑप्शन नहीं है. पर और कहाँ रुक सकता है? बीच हवा में रुक सकता है? नहीं रुक सकता. कहाँ रुक सकता था वो? स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट पे ही रुक सकता था. So similarly, we will also fall into this, but the thing where we can save ourselves is not in middle stages, but at the initial point when we start on contemplating on that object. When we start on contemplating on the sense object, only at that point of time we can stop. Agar when we contemplate too much about it, automatically other things will happen. Lust will develop, anger will develop, and we will be ready to commit sinful activity. So बीच में कहीं नहीं रुक सकते. जैसे माउंटेन में आधी हाइट में वो नहीं सोचता अरे कूद के गलत किया, अभी रुक जाता हूँ. बीच में नहीं रुक सकता वो, ऊपर ही रुक सकता था वो. So we can also stop only at the point of contemplation. And now someone may ask that how is it possible? We are in midst of the sense objects. जहाँ भी हम जाओ हर जगह एडवर्टीजमेंट है. You may ask that how is it that we can not contemplate? हमको senses भी इसीलिए दिया है so that we can enjoy, and everywhere sense objects are there. Even our prasadam prayers में आता है कि तार मध्ये जीवाति लोभमय सुधर्मति. That we are thrown in the objects. We have senses and we are thrown in the place of sense objects. Then how can you expect that we can control all our senses? It's not possible. So one good thing at Vedic time was everything was regulated, and this was the solution, to regulate all the activities. That is the solution. And in Vedic times the things were like so much rules and regulations were there that it does not allow, people were in mode of goodness and it did not allow the lust to enter. But now wherever you go, whether you go on street, whether you watch movie, anything, so many things are there, it becomes almost impossible to control our senses. But in Vedic times, things were naturally like that women would cover themselves very nicely, very appropriately. And then boys from very young age, they will be taught about brahmacharya. From age of 5 years, they would be sent to Gurukul, and they would be taught in these principles of brahmacharya till the age of 25 very nicely. But now we don't have such facilities. Now चौथी पांचवी के बच्चे के हाथ में मोबाइल है, and he can do all kinds of obnoxious things with that mobile phone. He can do all kinds of nonsense. But at that time it was not there. Boys were trained nicely. Women were trained in chastity and boys were taught in brahmacharya. That's why there was very little possibility of this entering into the mind. But now, what is the solution for this? So let's see what Prabhupada has given. Someone please read this.
When lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath. Wrath is transformed into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. Wrath is the manifestation of the mode of ignorance. These modes exhibit themselves as wrath and other corollaries.
So Prabhupada has not used word anger also, he has used wrath. Wrath is like anger multiplied by 10 times. It's like complete state of forgetfulness, you don't know what is. That's why Prabhupada has used this specific word wrath. So flow समझ आ गया ना, लस्ट से रहत आएगा, रहत से illusion, and illusion से you'll be entangled more and more into this material existence, whereas our goal is to get free, get liberated from this material existence. So that's why lust is considered to be greatest enemy, because it is binding us more and more into this material world. And there is no enemy like this. And another important point is wrath comes out of mode of ignorance. It is product of mode of ignorance. So these modes are only exhibiting themselves as wrath and lust and all other things. What further he says, please read this.
Therefore, the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by the prescribed method of living and acting. Then one can be saved from the degradation of faith by spiritual attachment.
So here is wonderful solution that Prabhupada gives in 3 or 4 lines. So he said that when lust is not fulfilled, what happens? It drags one down to ignorance when anger comes. So why, instead of degrading yourself to mode of ignorance, why don't you uplift yourself from mode of passion to mode of goodness? When lust attacks, when mode of passion is heavy on you, why are you degrading to mode of ignorance? Instead, just upgrade to mode of passion. And how you do that? By prescribed method of living and acting. That has been bold also, because it's very important. A prescribed method of living and acting is very, very important. So that's why a lifestyle of a spiritual practitioner is very, very important, because a lifestyle to a very great extent, it decides your mode, which mode you are in, and it impacts your mentality like that. So therefore we imply all these rules that no alcohol, no meat eating and all these kinds of things, because all these kinds of things will put you into mode of ignorance. Meat eating, alcohol, all this. That's why these rules and regulations are there. It is for our benefit only. Outside people think तुझे क्या problem है, मेरा पैसा है, मैं खुद enjoy कर रहा हूँ, मेरा body है. But they don't understand that all these kinds of activities will pull them down to the mode of ignorance, and that will be the greatest problem. One will be entangled more and more into this material world. So what we have to do is somehow we have to mold our activities in a way that we try to come to the mode of goodness, and in that way lust will never disturb us, because lust disturbs us in mode of passion only. So for that, how to do that? Some rules and regulations are there. So like a basic example is waking up early in the morning. So early does not mean बाहर वाले लोगों के लिए early means 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock like that. Early means Brahma Muhurat, that is between 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So that is time of mode of goodness. And if you wake up during that time and you do your spiritual practices, naturally you will be able to continue in mode of goodness for the whole day. Otherwise, people उठते ही लेट है, 10-11 बजे उठेंगे, मोड ऑफ गुडनेस वाला टाइम तो चला गया, उठेंगे मोड ऑफ पैशन वाले टाइम में, आफ्टरनून टाइम, इवनिंग टाइम, एंड देन दे विल बी डिग्रेडेड टू मोड ऑफ इग्नोरेंस. डीमंस का टाइम आता है रात को, सो दैट इज कंप्लीट मोड ऑफ इग्नोरेंस. सो वन इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज, एज अ स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिशनर वी शुड हैव अ हैबिट ऑफ वेकिंग अप अर्ली इन द मॉर्निंग, बिटवीन 4 to 6. 6 के बाद तो सोना ही नहीं चाहिए. After 6 o'clock one must not sleep only. And another rules and regulations are there that in Bhagavad Gita only Krishna says that to be in mode of goodness, one should not eat too much or too less. बहुत कम खाया है, बहुत ज़्यादा खाया. Eat an appropriate amount of food. Sleep for appropriate amount of time. ऐसा नहीं 6 hours is required, you sleep for 6 hours. It's not that 4 घंटे सोएंगे तो भी problem है. It will put you into mode of passion. And if you sleep for 8 hours, it will put into mode of ignorance. 8 hours, people don't now, 10 hours, 12 hours is normal thing. That much they require sleep. But mode of goodness means regulated. You should sleep for 6 hours, not more than 6 hours. 6.5 hours is maximum. That's good. That much is only required for your body to rest. More than that will be too much. It will put you into the mode of ignorance. So therefore, somehow we have to mold our lifestyle in such a way that we have to shift to the mode of goodness, because there is no hope in lower modes. If you are in mode of passion, naturally lust will act and you won't be able to do anything. It will be like you are willingly you are jumping off the cliff. Nothing you cannot do yourself to save. You can do yourself anything to save yourself. So only solution is coming to this mode of goodness. And Krishna consciousness provides us such a platform. It is so good that just the attire itself helps you. Like let's say you are wearing dhoti kurta, you are wearing tilak. Now someone tells you to commit sinful activity. Will you be able to commit? नहीं. करना भी होगा तो सोचोगे हाँ धोती कुर्ता निकाल देता हूँ, तिलक निकाल देता हूँ, फिर मैं करूँ. इसमें तो नहीं कर पाओगे. So that much even just the attire helps you to come to this mode of goodness. And लाइक ऐसे ही कोई बैठा है क्लास में धोती कुर्ता पहन के बैठा है, जैसे आप बैठे आप मैं बोलूँ कि चलो थोड़ा अल्कोहल पियो, मैं लेके आता हूँ ग्लास, एक पैक लगाओ, तो आप कर पाएंगे? नहीं ना. So that's how just the attire helps you to do this. Person will think twice. And this base environment is environment where we promote this kind of activity of goodness, that people wake up early, even when they go to office, they come from office, they see devotees are doing chanting or doing some spiritual activity, reading. So that automatically motivates you also to do such kinds of activities. वरना पीजी में हम क्या देखते हैं, पीजी में you go already ऑफिस से थक के आए और वो देख रहा है he is doing some sense gratification, you are also inspired to do, हाँ ये enjoy कर रहा है मैं भी enjoy करूँ. So association is very very important. In that association there is hardly any scope of progress. You will be there only because environment matters a lot. And when you come to this devotee association, automatically you will be in autopilot mode. You will go on progressing. This environment is very very important. So somehow we have to do activities that will promote you to mode of goodness. So our job is not to go to ignorance but to go to goodness, and that is the only solution for lust. And by doing that only you will be able to conquer lust. Now let's learn something more about this very dear enemy lust. So here 3 degrees of lust have been described in this shloka. Please repeat after me. Dhumen avriyate vahanir, dhumen avriyate vahanir, yatha darsho malena cha, yato levanaavrito garbhas, तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. Translation.
As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embroid is covered by the moon, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust.
So Krishna is explaining the wonderful examples about different degrees of lust. So here Krishna is talking about various degrees of lust. Let's say example of fire and smoke is there. So fire represents our consciousness and smoke is the covering of lust. So कहीं जगह आग लगी है, so much smoke is there, but still you are able to perceive fire. Heat आ रहा है और some light is also visible, so still you can perceive that fire is there. Next example, next level is which is given is mirror and dust. Like a mirror is there, on that dust is there. So at that time, if dust is there, hardly you can see yourself. Very little hope is there. And finally is level 3. Level 3 covering of lust is the example of embryo within a womb. So if embryo is there within a womb, is there a possibility that you can see embryo? No. It is completely covered. So similarly, our consciousness is also covered by lust with these 3 various degrees. First degree is you can perceive a good amount of thing you can perceive. Next degree is very little you can perceive. And third is you cannot perceive your consciousness at all. It is completely covered by lust. So there is funny pastime also. There was one boy who was sent to a temple land for registering for Gita course. So he was registering congregation also. So at that time one pregnant lady came and he was saying the benefits of Bhagavad Gita, please register for our Bhagavad Gita course, it will be very beneficial for you. Especially at this stage of pregnancy, it will help you a lot. So at that time that Mataji became angry and she covered her sari and she said, hey, I am not pregnant. So actually she was not pregnant, it was because of their over-enlarged tummy only she was thinking. So we don't know, covering is so much that we cannot even see whether, और आजकल तो लोग इतना बड़ा पेट लेके घूमते पता ही नहीं चलता. क्या है? So this is the example that person is so much covered by lust that he cannot perceive even his own consciousness, only do all kinds of sinful activities in that. So first level is compared to human beings, that human beings का lust covering होता है, covering of lust is there, but still you can perceive what is right, what is wrong. Still some level of consciousness is developed. Second level, which is compared to those of animals, like animals still they can move, they can do some activities. And third level is compared to trees. Trees they cannot even move themselves. उनको पता भी नहीं उनके आसपास क्या चल रहा है, कोई भी उनका पेड़ काट के डाली काट के सब चले जा सकता है. They cannot move at all. So their consciousness is completely covered. उनको ये भी नहीं पता चलता कि डाली काट रहा है तो मेरे को पेन हो रहा है. They cannot even perceive that much. That much their consciousness is covered. Animals they will still have some more level of consciousness, and humans have a higher level of consciousness. Like tree, animals and trees, they cannot understand this level of Bhagavad Gita class and all these kinds of things. But we as humans, we have that much consciousness that we can understand all these kinds of topics. So only in this human form of life can we come to this mode of goodness. You see, there are 8.4 million species are there, and out of those, only 0.4 million or 40 lakh species are human species. Other 8 million species, they cannot come to mode of goodness also. They are so much into this lust, but only 0.4 million species of human, they can come to this mode of goodness. And for that, a very important thing is to realize this urgency factor. Urgency factor is very very important to come to this mode of goodness. Like we have got this human form of life which is very very rare. Out of 8.4 million species, only we have got this human form of life. So many people are also in this, also people are suffering, but they do not turn up to this kind of classes. They are like animals only. They don't know what is happening around. But since we have got this opportunity, we should try to develop that urgency factor, and we should try to do our devotional activities very very nicely. Only then we can be easily promoted to mode of goodness. And reading of scriptures daily is also very very important. So how many of you are daily reading Prabhupada books, small books? Please. So try to put yourself daily at least 30 minutes of reading. Chanting भी करना है, ऐसा नहीं 30 minutes reading है. So chanting भी करना है, and your prescribed number of rounds. How many you are chanting? At least 8 everyone is chanting. So with chanting, reading also. So these activities will help you to put yourself into the mode of goodness. So after describing these various levels, Krishna is describing something more about this lust. आवृत्तं ज्ञानमेतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पुरिणा अनलेन च. Please read the translation.
So if the wild living entity, pure consciousness, become covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burn like fire.
So another very very important shloka. So our living entity's consciousness is covered by lust, that we saw in previous shloka. And very important factor about lust, that Krishna is saying that it is never satisfied. This is an important characteristics of lust, that it is never satisfied. You will always want more. ऐसा नहीं है कि इस टाइम पे मैंने इतना सेंस एंजॉयमेंट कर लिया, now I am completely satisfied, now I will never touch that sense object. No, your hankering will only increase for that sense object. And he explains this with an example that which burns like fire. So let's say a fire is there, in that you are putting ghee to satisfy the fire. What will happen? It will increase more. So similarly, when we are trying to satisfy our lust, it's not that lust is getting pacified, but it is increasing more and more. So fire में जितना fuel डालो, fire और बढ़ेगा. It will ask for more. The more you give, it will ask for more. So lust is also like that. The more you satisfy, it will ask for more and more. So people say no nowadays, भोग से समाधि. इतना enjoy करो कि समाधि में पहुंच जाओ. Like that. How is it possible? Because how much ever you enjoy, it will your lust will ask for more and more. There is no question of reaching samadhi or tranquility or ultimate peace. It's not possible only. So fulfilling lust is like putting more ghee in fire. Fire will only increase. And that we say simple examples are there, job example. जैसे आदमी कोई नया नया आता है, उसको कुछ भी करके बस जॉब चाहिए, 5,000 10,000 का जॉब मिल जाए, जॉब चाहिए मेरे को. दैट जॉब मिल जाने के बाद ही विल वांट मोर, हाँ भी सैलरी बढ़ना चाहिए, देन ही विल शिफ्ट जॉब, यहाँ से वहाँ जॉब शिफ्ट करेगा, कितना भी पैसा कमा लेगा, 1 BHK 2 BHK विला भी मिल गया, स्टिल एट द एंड ही विल बी रिमेन अनसेटिस्फाइड. Why can we surely say that he will remain unsatisfied? Because highest sense enjoyers were Ravana, Hiranyakashipu. They had everything. हम तो मैक्सिमम टू मैक्सिमम हम देखते ना एक्टर्स लोग आइलैंड खरीद लेते हैं अपना एक आइलैंड, बट उन लोग के पास सारे प्लेनेटरी सिस्टम्स थे. They had rule over all 3 planetary systems, but still they were unsatisfied. Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, all of them, they had ruled over whole world, but still they were unsatisfied. तो ये छोटा सा आइलैंड मिल गया, पर्सनल जेट मिल गया, हेलीकॉप्टर मिल गया, what these things will satisfy us. So desires will keep coming, and as you fulfill more and more, it will ask for more and more, and at the end, when you won't be able to fulfill that desire, you will become more sad. There is no question of samadhi. People just want more and more. So the point here is, which is very important, is lust is never satisfied. And if lust is not satisfied, what will happen? Next step क्या था? Anger, wrath or anger will come. So lust will always lead to anger. You may ask that question, no, that when lust is unfulfilled, then anger comes. But what if lust is fulfilled? If lust is fulfilled, it will ask for more, and at some point of time, you will not be able to satisfy, and therefore, lust will definitely lead to anger. That's why it is said that lust is brother of anger. Lust बड़ा भाई है, anger छोटा भाई है. जहाँ बड़ा भाई जाता है, छोटा भाई अपने आप आता है. हमने बचपन में देखा होगा. तो बड़ा भाई कहीं खेलने चला गया, छोटा भाई भी आएगा ही पीछे पीछे. So lust is like that. Wherever lust is there, anger will definitely follow. So in this regards, Prabhupada says very nice thing. So Prabhupada says that this material world is compared to jail. This we all have heard analogy. But jail, matlab we see criminals are in jail and they have some shackles, they have chains. But here we see we are free. हम तो इधर से उधर जा सकते हैं. So what are our shackles? What is the thing that is binding to this material world?
Karma.
क्या bind करना है? कर्मा तो है. From where is karma generating? Why are you doing such activities?
Desire.
So desires, or when desires get intensified, it becomes lust. And the highest material enjoyment which we have in this world is sex enjoyment. That is the pinnacle of the enjoyment, and whole world is rotating around this only. Whole world is revolving around sense gratification, and topmost of that is considered to be sex enjoyment, which binds a person like anything. You see youth boys nowadays, they are struggling so much with this pornography and all these kinds of things, which is very, very dangerous, which is putting them into mode of ignorance, which is binding them more and more into this illusory material world. So it's very important to deal with this very nicely and very carefully, because if it is not curbed at right stage, it will have serious repercussions. We see there are so many people who come for counseling also to Karthikeya Prabhu and other serious devotees, and they share their experiences. Like one of them recently came to Prabhu. He was a married person, and he was a married person with kids, and he said, I was attached to my wife, and now new maid has come, and now I am slowly getting attached to that maid also, like that. So even a married person who is having wife, who is having 2 children also, he is also being badly impacted with this problem of lust. And another case study which he was sharing was that of a bank manager. So Prabhuji, he goes to various corporate setups also. So there was this elite setup of this bank related stuff. So at that time he gave a class, and at the end of class an old lady said that I want to talk to you personally. So they went to that personal cabin was given, and at that time when she was about to start describing her problem, she started to cry profusely. And Prabhuji said, what happened? Don't cry, we are in cabin and you are crying, people will think मैंने कुछ किया है. So specify yourself and you tell me what is happening. So he said, she was an old lady. So she said, my husband is there, he is getting into extramarital affair. So he is having girlfriends at various places in various cities, and every few months he goes and meet them, and he does all kinds of illicit activities, and he chats with them regularly on WhatsApp, and he keeps on sending 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, इतना amount वो बेचता रहता है. All these kinds of things, and he was shocked. And what is the age of your husband? He said he was above 60 years. So this is the thing, if you cannot curb it at a initial stage, like Vedic time में 5 years से ही सिखाया जाता है कि कैसे how to deal with these things. इफ़ यू आर नॉट टॉट देन दिस प्रॉब्लम विल कंटिन्यू. ऐसा नहीं है कि ओल्ड हो जाएंगे तो शायद ये प्रॉब्लम चली जाएगी. इफ़ यू डोंट कंट्रोल इट एट करेक्ट एज इट विल गो टू योर ओल्ड एज ऑल्सो. Like this, so many cases are there. Another case of old woman also there, who is having so many boyfriends. Like that, so many cases, especially in Bangalore, you will see. So this is how dangerous lust is. If it's not curbed at correct point of time, it will have serious repercussion. So it is also compared to an itch. Itch पता है ना, कोई जगह itch हो जाता है, क्या करते हैं? उसको खुजलाते हैं. खुजली होने का बहुत मन करता है. But खुजलाने से क्या होता है? Is it satisfied? और खुजली बढ़ता है. फिर और खुजलाते तो क्या होता है? फाइनली इतना कर जाते हैं, इट बिकम्स अ वुंड. सो लाइक दैट सेक्स एंजॉयमेंट इज लाइक दैट. सो प्रभुपाद यूज्ड टू से दैट ऑल दिस अर्जेस यू हैव टू टॉलरेट. द बेस्ट थिंग इज टू टॉलरेट. इफ यू कैन नॉट टॉलरेट इट शुड बी रेगुलेटेड. इट शुड बी इन सम रेगुलेटेड मैनर. और वो भी नहीं कर सकते तो अगर खुजलाते ही गए तो क्या होगा? इट विल वुंड, इट विल हार्म यू बैडली. सो दैट्स व्हाई इट बिकम्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. When you do it too much, you become mad, just like animals. Monkeys की species में we see that they do not have any discrimination. They have sex with their mother, sister, daughter. They do not have any such discrimination because their consciousness is so much covered by lust. They forget what is right, what is wrong. They only want to enjoy their life. And in this context, there is a very nice and very eye-opening story of Vyasdev. This comes in Mahabharata. So once Srila Vyasdev, he was giving a class to various rishis were sitting and he was giving a class and he made a very very important point. He said that these senses are very powerful. They are so powerful that even it can these senses, even a learned man, he says that senses are very powerful and hence even a learned man should not stay alone with his mother, sister or daughter. Because senses are so powerful, it can even if you are sitting alone with your mother, sister or daughter, you should avoid doing that activity. And then there was a rishi called Gemini. So Gemini rishi, he raised an objection. He said, my dear master, I have a doubt. Okay, normal person getting afflicted by it is okay, we can understand. But you are saying even a learned man can be distracted by this. How is it possible? So at that time, Vyasdev, he remained silent. He said, okay, now right now I have to go to Badrinath. So I will be there for a few days and I am making you the lead, I am making you the in charge, you handle this ashram for some time and when I will come back I will give you answer for this. So sage Vyasdev went, few days passed by and what happened, one night there was a very very stormy night, बहुत बारिश हो रहा था, बहुत तूफान जैसी रात थी. At that time what happened, a young woman, she entered their ashram और she had the anklets, छनक छनक जो करता है वैसे छनक छनक करते हुए she came to the ashram and she came to the Gemini rishi and as soon as उनका वो था, they were so strict they don't even look at the face. So he was looking at the feet and that looking at the feet and that anklets, that also was very very enchanting for him, that he became little bit enchanted. But then he controlled. He said, what do you need Mataji? So she said, देखो इतना stormy night है and I am a woman, I am alone and I need protection, I need a place to stay. I am in middle of jungle, I cannot go anywhere, so you please help me. So at that time Gemini she said, see, this is an ashram of celibates, only celibate people stay here, so women cannot stay here, so you please kindly go away from here. So she said, no, I have come to your protection, there is no other shelter for me rather than this, please help me. So he said, देखो ये आश्रम के head है व्यासदेव, he is not there, so he has made me the head for now. So I am giving you a room, you stay in that room, as soon as morning happens you go out, go away and you lock the room from inside, and even if I am shouting from outside that please open the door, you don't open the door. Like that they agreed and she went away, उनको room दे दिया, room के अंदर रह गए. And now Gemini ऋषि का meditation का time हो रहा था, वो बैठ रहे meditation में, पर छनक छनक आवाज़ जो है जो सुनी थी और जो इतने सुंदर फीट देखे थे, those were coming again and again, it was disturbing him again and again and he was not able to meditate and he started contemplating or meditating. जहाँ से fall down शुरू होता है, remember this thing, fall down starts from contemplation or meditation. He started contemplating on the feet of that lady, how beautiful it was, and that anklet bell, that sound, he started to contemplate on those things. Now what happened, suddenly a thought came to his mind that अरे इतनी रात को ये लड़की आई कहाँ से होगी, बीच जंगल में कैसे आ गई, चलो मैं पूछता हूँ इसकी स्टोरी. So he went there, he knocked that, but she replied that Sage Gemini has told me not to open this door. And he said, oh, don't worry, I am only there, you open the door. So she said, no, Sage Gemini told that even if I am knocking the door, you don't open the door. Like that she said. She said, अरे मैं ही, but she was not listening and he became so much agitated. He went roof के ऊपर से चढ़कर roof हटा करके वो अंदर आया. And at that time he saw the beauty. At that time he saw the whole body of that female and he saw that beauty, that how much beautiful she was, and in 1 second he was completely enchanted. And he said, see, I am a sage, so please will you marry me? Then direct marriage proposal आगे रख दिया. So she said, oh, you are a great sage. It would be a great benefit for me if I marry you. If I can get a husband like you, it will be a great boon for me. Then she said, but I have one condition. That condition is, मंदिर में जाके हमारी शादी होगी. So you take me to the temple. I'll sit on your back. एंड आपको अपना मुंह काला करके मुझे अपने बैग पर बिठा करके टेंपल लेके जाना है. सो जेमिनी ऋषि सोचे कि अरे रात का टाइम है, वैसे भी कोई नहीं देखेगा, तो शादी के लिए मैं मान जाता हूँ, अभी के लिए शर्त है उसकी, मान जाता हूँ. तो मैंने अपना मुंह काला कर दिया, उसको बिठा करके लेकर गए, टेंपल की तरफ जाने लगे. सो एज सुन एज दे आर वॉकिंग गोइंग मोर एंड मोर अहेड, शी स्टार्टेड स्लैपिंग जेमिनी ऋषि ऑन द वे. सो एट दैट टाइम थॉट कि अरे मार क्यों रही है बिन मतलब. तो इसमें बोला चलो शादी के लिए मैं टॉलरेट कर लेता हूँ, धीरे धीरे चलते हैं. तो ऐसे जैसे जैसे आगे जाने लगे, शी वॉज स्लैपिंग कंटिन्यूसली. एंड मंदिर के पास जैसे ही पहुँचे, बहुत ज़ोर ज़ोर से मारने लग गई वो स्लैप. तो इसने पीछे मुड़ के देखा, देखते हुआ क्या है, और पीछे मुड़ के देखा तो हिज गुरु व्यासदेव वॉज देयर. सो एट दैट टाइम व्यासदेव ही स्माइल्ड, अच्छा बेटा, बहुत उसकी बात कर रहे थे तुम, सेल्फ कंट्रोल की लर्निंग में थी, अभी अपना मुंह काला करा के तुम मंदिर को जाने को तैयार हो. दिस इज द पावर विच आई वॉज टॉकिंग अबाउट, दैट इवन वन में बी सो मच सेंस कंट्रोल, वेरी लर्नड इन ऑल द स्क्रिप्चर्स, बट कंटेम्पलेशन पे अगर अटक गए ना तुम, तो डेफिनेटली यू विल फॉल. जैसे क्लिफ का एग्जाम्पल दिया, तुम रुक सकते हो एट द स्टार्ट पॉइंट ओनली, वंस यू स्टार्ट फॉलिंग देयर इज नो ऑप्शन. So the point is, if you cannot control now, ऐसा नहीं है कि old age में चला जाएगा lust, you'll still remain there, and at that time your senses will also not support, so you'll do all kinds of obnoxious things. So this is a very important story to understand that lust is very, very formidable opponent. And only, even you see sage Vishwamitra, he was a very great sage, he was once a guru of Ramachandra also, but still he fell down when this Menaka Apsara came from heavenly planets. He also fell down. So many examples. Even Saubri Muni was there. He was meditating under the water. पानी के नीचे मेडिटेट कर रहे ताकि बाहर से कोई डिस्टर्बेंस ना आए, लेकिन ज़रा देर के लिए आँख खोली, ही सॉ 2 fishes copulating, एंड उसी से वो सोचे कि हाँ मेरे को भी शादी करनी है. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि चलो ये एसोसिएशन से मैं दूर चला गया, जंगल में चला गया तो शायद बच जाऊँगा. वो तो पानी के अंडर थे, वहाँ भी सेंसेस उनके अटैक कर गए. सो नाउ व्हाट इज द सॉल्यूशन? भैया इतने बड़े बड़े सीरीज कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रहे, तो हम क्या चीज़ है उनके सामने? सो ओनली डिवोटी हु इज वेरी इंटेंस इन दिस प्रैक्टिस, इन देयर प्रैक्टिस, कैन विन ओवर इट. एंड वी हैव मेनी एग्जांपल्स लाइक अर्जुना. सो अर्जुना, when just before the battle he was helping Indra to win over various kinds of demons, so he had went to the heavenly planet. So at that time when he was in heavenly planet, Urvashi, so Urvashi is one of the apsaras in heavenly planet, so she was enchanted looking at Arjuna, and she went to Arjuna with her desire that I want to copulate with you, I want to be one with you. But at that time Arjuna, since he was a great devotee, he was so much self-controlled. Even when he was looking at the beauty of Urvashi, he said, no, this is wrong thing. You are like my mother, because she was one of the apsaras there, and Indra was the controller of all the apsaras. So she said that, Arjuna said that you are like mother. This level of sense control you have, he had. That ACS layout की या यहाँ बेंगलोर की कोई लड़की नहीं, अप्सरा इतने ब्यूटीफुल होती है, we cannot even imagine करना भी नहीं है, but we cannot even imagine how much beautiful they are. Or such a lady, if she is coming to Arjuna, you can think how much sense controlled he was, Arjuna. Why? Because he was pure devotee of Krishna. And similarly in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela also, there was one devotee called Srila Haridas Thakur. So his glories were spreading all around. He used to chant 192 rounds daily. 192 rounds daily means दिन का 22 hours, 22 hours he just used to chant. And some envious people said that he's progressing so much, इसका fall down करवा दो. So they sent the most famous prostitute of that time that you go and enchant this person. So at that time Haridas Thakur, when that prostitute entered, she said that I want to become one with you, I want to enjoy with you. So he said, okay, we'll enjoy, but मेरा rounds pending है, मैं थोड़ा मेरा rounds खत्म कर लेता हूँ, उसके बाद we'll enjoy nicely. So she was waiting, but इनका chanting तो 20-22 घंटा चलता है, तो chanting चलते चलते रात हो गई. तो she said, अभी तो रात हो गई, अभी fresh होने में फिर कल next day आती. So like that prostitute came next day again, but next day again chanting like ऐसा 3-4 दिन तक चला. But the thing was, after hearing 3-4 days regularly, when she was hearing pure chanting of Haridas Thakur, उनका chanting ही इतना strong था कि heart of prostitute got converted, and she said that please make me your disciple. Like that, all lusty feelings from her heart also went away, and she said please make me your disciple. And at that time Haridas Thakur also told that I could have, मैंने आपको पहले ही भगा दिया होता, लेकिन still I made you sit here so that you could hear chanting, you could become pure. And later he initiated her, and she went on to become a great devotee. She was called Haridasi. In scriptures later you will see that Vaishya Shabd or prostitute was not used for her. For her, respectfully, Haridasi word was used. So that is the power of pure devotees. They cannot even purify themselves. They cannot just purify themselves, but others also who come into their contact. बट हमें भी इस कॉन्फिडेंस में इतना वो नहीं जाना कि मैं भी प्योरीफाई करूँगा दुनिया को तो एंड क्लब में चला जाता हूँ स्पीचिंग के लिए. हमको वी शुड नो आवर लेवल, वी शुड बी इन आवर normal association and good association, and we should avoid going to such places. So only a pure devotee of the Lord is free from this kind, and we are also aspiring to reach that stage. बाकी सब process जो है कर्म, ज्ञान, योग, because big yogis also fail. Only bhakta could survive these kinds of things. So one has to try to go deeper into the spirituality. And Srila Prabhupada says some amazing words about this. Someone please read this.
Therefore, this lust is the symbol of ignorance by which the living entity is kept within this material world. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually that so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer.
The lust is symbol of ignorance, and it is the only reason which is keeping you bound into this material world. So, आप बोलेंगे कि bound तो कर रहे हैं पर थोड़ा enjoyment तो है ना, मज़ा तो आ रहा है ना थोड़ा. While one is enjoying sense gratification there, but Prabhupada is saying there might be some feeling of happiness, but that so-called feeling of happiness, it becomes ultimate enemy of sense enjoyer. So one may think, चलो थोड़ा बहुत happiness है तो I should enjoy, but that enjoyment is only binding him more and more into this material world. So this enjoyment, also why it's called so-called enjoyment? मज़ा तो आ रहा है ना थोड़ा बहुत, तो so-called enjoyment क्यों बोले, नकली enjoyment क्यों बोले? हाँ रिग्रेट तो होगा पर मज़ा तो आया ना उस टाइम तो.
This is not the higher taste, so it's
बट स्टिल टेस्ट तो है ना.
it's okay.
तो थिंग इज दिस हैप्पीनेस इज कंपेयर्ड टू इल्यूजन. इट्स नॉट हैप्पीनेस, इट्स लाइक कंपेयर्ड टू कैमल. सो कैमल, डेजर्ट में कैमल जो होता है, कैमल क्या खाता है डेजर्ट में? कैक्टस खाता है, और कुछ है नहीं, वो कैक्टस खाता है. व्हेन ही इज ईटिंग कैक्टस, दैट थॉर्न्स ऑन द कैक्टस, इट इज पियर्सिंग हिज टंग, एंड उसकी वजह से ब्लड आता है, एंड दैट ब्लड, हिज ओन ब्लड ही इज टेस्टिंग एंड ही इज फीलिंग वेरी नाइस. So that is the illusion. He thinks he is tasting his own blood and he thinks that he is enjoying. So similar is our happiness. ये enjoyment है नहीं, but illusion की वजह से हमें लग रहा है कि ये enjoyment है. Simple, we use your common sense. We are spirit souls, right? Now sense object tongue, we are not tongue, and जो गुलाब जामुन आता है हम वो भी नहीं है. These are all foreign objects. When tongue is meeting गुलाब जामुन, soul का क्या लेना देना है उससे? But still that illusory happiness we see. So that's why it said that there is no happiness in this material world, because जो थोड़ा बहुत happiness भी लगता है, that is illusory. It's like donkey. So donkey का example आता है ना कि donkey को आगे चलवाना होता है तो उसके आगे क्या करते हैं? कैरेट लगा देते हैं, गाजर लगा देते हैं. वो थोड़ा आगे जाता है, सोचता है enjoyment मिल जाएगा, but he does not get the enjoyment. आज जितना आगे जाता है गाजर भी आगे जाता है. वैसे ही माया देवी भी हमको दिखाती है, कम एंजॉय, मुझे एंजॉय करो अच्छे से, और हम जाते हैं बट क्या मिलता है हमको? थप्पड़ के अलावा कुछ नहीं मिलता. we do not face, we are not able to experience true enjoyment, and that is what Prabhupada is trying to explain here, that there may be some feeling of happiness, but it is not true and it will entangle more and more. Further he says, will someone read this?
If one practice to tolerate the so-called urges or of sense pleasure, then he become very happy at the long run. He, he recommends it, and that is the real purpose of human form of life, that we should not derive. We should not try to derive that false happiness in this diseased condition of material life. This is temporary, that is not happiness. We should understand that out of ignorance we are engaged to derive such kind of happiness, but that is not happiness. Real happiness is in the spiritual life.
So here Prabhupada is saying tolerate the so-called urges. तो पीपल से ना इस्कॉन में आके इतने रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस फॉलो करने होते हैं, सारा फ्रीडम चला जाता है, सब छोड़ना पड़ता है. तो पीपल से इस्कॉन में आके बॉन्डेज हो जाता है, पीपल आर बाउंड. हमको तो मस्त फ्री रहना चाहिए, एंजॉय करना चाहिए जो मिले. सो व्हाई इज इट रॉन्ग कि पीपल माइट से कि थोड़ा बहुत तो हैप्पीनेस है, अब वो भी बंद कर दे इस्कॉन में आके, ऐसा क्यों? सो इट इज सेड दैट करेंटली वी आर इन डिजीज कंडीशन एंड हेंस रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस आर रिक्वायर्ड. फॉर एग्जांपल कोई डिजीज आदमी है जिसका पेट ठीक नहीं है और उसको एंजॉय करना है समोसा, तो एट दैट टाइम समोसा खाएगा तो उसका पेट और ख़राब होगा और गंदी हालत होगी. सिमिलरली वी आर ऑल्सो इन डिजीज कंडीशन. नाउ इफ एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम इफ यू ट्राई टू एंजॉय इट विल एग्रीवेट द डिजीज मोर एंड मोर. सो कृष्णा इज नॉट सेइंग डोंट एंजॉय, स्टॉप एंजॉइंग. एंजॉय करो बट फर्स्ट कम आउट ऑफ योर डिजीज कंडीशन, फर्स्ट कम इन टू हेल्दी स्टेट, देन जितना समोसा खाना है खाओ, देन कोई रोक टोक नहीं है. So that's why right now since we are diseased, so that's why so many rules and regulations are kept, so that following those rules and regulations one again becomes healthy and then one can enjoy. There is no problem in mode of enjoyment because Krishna is ultimate enjoyer and we being his part and parcel, we are also the enjoyer. Naturally we are also enjoyer because we are same qualities, whatever qualities Krishna has we also have, but in very minute quality. So if he has that quality of enjoyment, we also have that quality of enjoyment. Why we should not enjoy it, but we should enjoy once we are in healthy state of life, once we are in healthy condition of life. So naturally spirit soul, it is called Anandmaya Abhyasa, that it is always seeking some kind of enjoyment. But right now we are not in that stage, so that's why what is prescribed for us is tapasya. Tapasya, we have to do tapasya. What is that tapasya? Is tolerating these urges. Everyone knows that हाँ alcohol पीने से मजा आएगा, but no. A spiritual practitioner will tolerate. No, I will not do. Once I will become healthy, automatically all kind of enjoyment will come. I should not do meat eating. I should not involve in illicit sex. I should not involve in all these kind of nonsense things. Right now, I may see that those people are enjoying, but at the end of the day, they will be entangled more and they will suffer more. But I am more intelligent. I will stay away from these things and I will liberate myself and then I will enjoy with Krishna. So that's why, like, एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ स्मॉल चाइल्ड कम, छोटे बच्चों को क्या करना है, खेलना पसंद है, उनको पढ़ाई वगैरह अच्छा नहीं लगती, पर पेरेंट्स क्या बोलते हैं, नहीं अभी खेलने मत जाओ, अभी पढ़ाई करो, बिकॉज दे आर सीइंग द अल्टीमेट गुड ऑफ द चिल्ड्रन. बट एज चाइल्ड वी आर ऑल्सो लाइक स्मॉल चिल्ड्रन, वी डोंट नो वेयर आवर ट्रू हैप्पीनेस लाइक, वी ऑल्सो वांट्स टू एंजॉय. बट राइट नाउ इफ वी कैन टॉलरेट एंड इफ वी कैन प्रोग्रेस इन स्पिरिचुअलिटी, ऑल अनलिमिटेड हैप्पीनेस विल कम. लाइक प्रभुपाद यूज्ड टू से कि वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड में गए थे तो ड्रग्स वॉज द हाइएस्ट एंजॉयमेंट विच दे हैड. But Krishna consciousness was so nice that they left drugs also. That means enjoyment in Krishna consciousness is much higher than all these kinds of things. So at that time you should run your intelligence कि इन छोटी छोटी चीज़ों में क्यों enjoyment कर रहा हूँ. अगर enjoyment करना है तो बड़ा हाथ मारते हैं, बड़ा enjoy अच्छे से enjoy करेंगे. So we at that time we should tolerate. And that's why Vedic principles, it is said that they are not putting us in bondage, but they are freeing us from bondage. So बाहर के लोग बोलते हैं ना, you are getting more and more bound. Actually we are not getting bound, we are now becoming, धीरे धीरे हम free हो रहे. Like there was person who came to ISKCON and we said that chai coffee is also an addiction. So he said अरे chai coffee कैसे addiction है, मैं तो लेता हूँ, it's not an addiction. So he said okay ठीक है थोड़े दिन मत पियो, पता चल जाएगा. फिर कुछ दिन नहीं पिया, ऑटोमेटिकली बॉडी रिएक्शन आने लगा, सर दर्द, हेडेक एंड ऑल दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स हैपन. एट दैट टाइम ही रियलाइज कि खुला एंजॉय करना मेरा मन हो तब चाय पीऊँगा. ऑल दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स, इट्स नॉट फ्रीडम, इट इज़ बाउंड, इट इज़ बाउंडिंग इन मोर एंड मोर. दैट इज बिकम इज बॉन्डेज. पीपल आर सेइंग नो मुझे मन करेगा तो अल्कोहल पीऊँगा. एट दैट टाइम ही डज नॉट रियलाइज दैट इज गेटिंग बाउंड मोर एंड मोर. नाउ ही इज गेटिंग subservient to that alcohol, he is getting subservient to that habit, and that habit will make him mad. But we, when we are restraining from that habit, we are not becoming bound, but we are becoming free from that habit. This is very important thing to realize, and only a spiritual practitioner can realize this. When we go through this set of rules and regulations, when we go through this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, only then can we realize. So, 4 regulative principles, they are called as 4 regulative principles of freedom. They are not called as 4 regulative principles of bondage, because they are freeing us from all these kinds of nonsense things which will entangle us more and more. Hence, this is also called as path of liberation. हम क्या बोलते हैं? Breaking the cycle of birth and death, going back to Krishna, serving there. So this is path of liberation. ये थोड़ी bondage का path थोड़ी है. So therefore, there is one nice shloka where a pure devotee is praying to the Lord, he is putting his prayers in front of Lord, that from so many millions of lifetimes, I have served my masters who are lust, greed, anger. I have tried to serve them very nicely, but in return I haven't got anything. I have not got any satisfaction. They are such bad masters. Instead, मेरी तारीफ करने की जगह ये मास्टर्स मुझे और मारते हैं और दौड़ाते हैं कि और भागो मेरे पीछे और लस्ट के पीछे भागो. But since I have caught the hold of your lotus feet, now I have realized that you are only my true master, and now I am completely satisfied under your shelter, being freed from all these anarthas of lust, anger, greed. So when we surrender to Krishna, we can be ultimately freed from all these kinds of things. So this is an amazing prayer. So when he caught hold of lotus feet of Krishna, he became free from all these kinds of bondages. This is the way for us. We have to caught hold of lotus feet of Krishna. And initially, ये जो उन सब का enjoyment है, it might feel very very nectarian, but later it is poison. याद है we discussed something related to this only. Initially nectar लगता है, बाद में poison लगता है, वो क्या है? For which mode it is? Initially nectar लगता है, बाद में it's like poison. Which mode it is? हाँ, passion. Ignorance तो शुरुआत में भी madness है, बाद में भी madness है. पैशन जैसे कि अल्कोहल पीना, वो करना, शुरुआत में लगता है बहुत मजा आएगा, बट लेटर इट इज बिकमिंग सोर्स ऑफ मिजरी. सो दैट्स व्हाई डिवोटीज हैव टू बी इन मोड ऑफ गुडनेस. गुडनेस मींस रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन, रिस्ट्रिक्शंस. तो गुडनेस के बारे में क्या प्रॉपर्टी है? इनिशियली क्या लगता है वो पॉइजन, बट लेटर इट बिकम्स नेक्टर. दैट इज व्हाट प्रभुपाद इज सेइंग. वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट आउट ऑफ इग्नोरेंस वी आर engaged to derive such kind of happiness, but that is not happiness. Real happiness is in spiritual life only. सो अभी के लिए थोड़ा टॉलरेट करो अपने अर्जिस को. जब तुम डिजीज कंडीशन से बाहर आ जाओगे, दैट टाइम यू एंजॉय नाइसली. सो राइट नाउ इट मे अपीयर लाइक पॉइजन, बट यू कंटिन्यू डूइंग इट, एंड फ्रॉम दैट यू विल डिराइव सो मच हैप्पीनेस दैट यू विल नेवर फॉल इनटू दिस अगेन. सो डिस्क्राइबिंग ऑल दिस, नाउ अर्जुना माइट से दैट नाउ आई अंडरस्टूड. व्हाट वाज द ओरिजिनल क्वेश्चन व्हिच अर्जुना आस्क्ड? हाँ, so why people are impelled to do sinful activity, and what answer Krishna gave? What is the only reason for committing sinful activity? Lust. Lust is the only reason, and then he presented characteristics of lust. He represented 3 levels of lust, and finally he said that lust is such a thing, it's like fire. जितना घी डालो बढ़ेगा, तो you have to tolerate this. Now he is saying something more, that now Arjuna might ask that लस्ट के बारे में पता तो चल गया, अब इसको हराऊं कैसे मैं? सो एनिमी को हराना है तो पहले एनिमी का लोकेशन, स्ट्रेटेजिक पोजीशन क्या है एनिमी की, वो पता करनी ज़रूरी है. कि किस पोजीशन पे एनिमी खड़ा है, वो मेरे को पता चल गया तो आई कैन इजीली डिफीट माय एनिमी. सो नाउ Arjuna might ask that now I understood my enemy, but now where, how can I defeat him? So that Krishna describes in next verse. So he says, Indriyani manobuddhir asyaadhisthānam uchyate eter vimohyati esha jnanam avritya dehinam. Translation.
The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting place of this lust. Through them lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and the doer.
So Krishna is saying 3 places, 3 जगह पे बैठा है तुम्हारा लस्ट. 3 जगह पे तुम्हारी बॉडी में बैठा है लस्ट. 3 जगह कौन सी है? फर्स्ट इज सेंसेस, सेकंड इज माइंड, थर्ड इज इंटेलिजेंस. मतलब 3 जगह से उसने घेरा बना के रखा है ताकि कहीं से हम भाग के जा ना सके. So it is sitting not just in your senses, not just in your mind, but even at your intelligence. This lust is sitting very nicely. And what it does, it covers the real knowledge. What is real knowledge? असली ज्ञान क्या है? We are spirit souls. We are part and parcel of it. First level is realizing that we are spirit soul. Next level of knowledge is realizing that I am part and parcel of Krishna and I am meant to serve Krishna. And what is ignorance? I am not spirit soul, I am this body. Ye ignorance. So thinking oneself to be the body, that is the ignorance. So this knowledge is covered by lust. This knowledge ki I am spirit soul and I am not body, this is covered by lust. So this is the real knowledge which is covered by lust. And let's see what Srila Prabhupada says about this. Please read someone.
The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body, the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places, so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all other activities of the senses, and thus when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification, and as a result, the mind and the senses become the repositories of lust.
So Krishna is described कि कहाँ कहाँ enemy बैठा है. तो how senses and mind are repositories of lust? Srila Prabhupada is explaining that mind is senses center of all activities. तो हमारी जैसे आंखें कहीं पड़ती है कुछ एडवर्टीजमेंट पे, तो वहाँ से इनपुट आता है. वो इनपुट कहाँ बैठता है? माइंड में. कानों से इनपुट आता है, माइंड में बैठता है. नाक से इनपुट आता है, वो माइंड में बैठता है. तो माइंड इज सेंटर ऑफ ऑल एक्टिविटीज. सो इन्हीं जगह से सारा इनपुट आता है. तो पहले सेंसेस, लस्ट एंटर्स थ्रू सेंसेस एंड देन इट सेट्स इन माइंड. Further, and this is how mind and senses becomes the repositories of lust. Further, what he says?
Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. The intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter. And thus with the mind and the senses, the spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness.
तो ये गेम हो रहा है पूरा, तीनों मिलके मतलब बाउंड कर रहे हैं. पहले से माइंड बिकेम द repositories through senses. At the next, where what happens, lust attacks the intelligence. So intelligence क्या काम है? It's just next door neighbor of spirit soul. तो ये intelligence वो बोलता है spirit soul को कि देखो फॉल्स ईगो की मदद से इंटेलिजेंस बोलता है बॉडी स्पिरिट सोल को, देखो यू आर बॉडी एंड बॉडी के लिए एंजॉयमेंट क्या है? सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स व्हिच कम्स टू द सेंसेस. सो इंटेलिजेंस इज कन्विंसिंग spirit soul that you are this body and your aim is to enjoy these sense objects. So this is how senses, mind, intelligence तीनों मिलके influence करते हैं spirit soul को in thinking that he is one with the matter and this enjoyment is only the ultimate enjoyment, and this is how spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. तो ये तीनों मिलके हमारी लाइफ खराब करके रखी है. सेंसेस, माइंड, इंटेलिजेंस तीनों मिलकर के सोल को पागल बना के रखा है. You remember one horse diagram we displayed in level 1 classes? 5 horses क्या represent करते हैं? Chariot था पूरा. 5 horses represents senses. Rope represents senses का हमका सेंसेस का सेंटर क्या बोला? कंट्रोल है माइंड. तो हॉर्सेस कहाँ से कंट्रोल होते हैं? रोप्स के थ्रू. तो रोप इज कंपेयर्ड टू माइंड. ड्राइवर इंटेलिजेंस एंड पीछे जो पैसेंजर बैठा है. तो ड्राइवर, हाउ इज ड्राइवर कंपेयर्ड टू इंटेलिजेंस? बिकॉज फाइनली इंटेलिजेंस ओनली ड्राइव्स, बिकॉज इंटेलिजेंस बताता है राइट क्या है, रॉन्ग क्या है. तो अगर ही कैन नॉट कंट्रोल द रोप्स प्रॉपरली, माइंड प्रॉपरली, तो घोड़े इधर उधर भागेंगे, रथ इधर उधर भागेगा और पीछे स्पिरिट सोल का बैंड, पैसेंजर का बैंड रुक जाएगा. और इंटेलिजेंस स्ट्रांग है, अगर उसको कंट्रोल करना आ रहा है तो चैरियट स्मूथली चलेगा और सोल विल बी नाइस, उसका नाइस जर्नी होगा. सो विद दैट यू रियलाइज कि लस्ट एंटर करता है सेंसेस, माइंड, इंटेलिजेंस, इन तीनों पे एंटर कर जाता है और पीछे स्पिरिट सोल का बैंड रुक जाता है. सो व्हेन इंटेलिजेंस ऑल्सो बिकम्स लस्टी, व्हेन इट फॉरगेट्स व्हाट इज राइट, व्हाट इज रॉन्ग, देयर इज नो चांस. जब इंटेलिजेंस तक इन्फेक्ट हो जाता है तो बहुत दिक्कत हो जाता है. एंड यू सी देयर इज प्रिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ ऑल योगा सिस्टम्स में एक ही चीज़ बार बार बताई जाती है, दैट ये माइंड सेंसेस आर योर एनिमी, सो यू नीड टू लर्न टू कंट्रोल माइंड एंड सेंसेस. इवन अष्टांग योग हम देखते हैं तो उसमें आसनाज आर डन टू रेगुलेट द बॉडी एंड प्राणायाम इज डन टू रेगुलेट द माइंड, टू कंट्रोल माइंड एंड सेंसेस. बट इन भक्ति योगा हाउ वी डू दैट कृष्णा एक्सप्लेन्स कि तीन जगह हमारे एनिमीज बैठा है, सेंसेस पे, माइंड पे, इंटेलिजेंस पे. these three places are enemy setting. So to whom you will attack first? Like enemy बैठा है, एक लेवल का एनिमी वीक है, दूसरा स्ट्रॉन्ग है, तीसरा बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है, तो पहले किसको अटैक करोगे? हाँ, वीक, और वीकेस्ट क्या है? सेंसेस. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू हैव टू अटैक सेंसेस. सो दैट्स व्हाट कृष्णा इज रिकमेंडिंग इन द नेक्स्ट वर्स. तस्मात् त्वम् इंद्रियाणि आदौ, तस्मात् त्वम् इंद्रियाणि आदौ नियम्य भरतर्षभ,
नियम्य भरतर्षभ,
पाप्मानं प्रजहीयेनं,
पाप्मानं प्रजहीयेनं,
ज्ञानं विजस्साननाशनं.
ज्ञानाविजस्साननाशनं.
Translation.
Therefore, O Arjuna, best of Bhargavas, in the very beginning, this great symbol of sense, thus by regulating the senses, enslave this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization.
So Krishna is saying, immediately kill this lust. How? By attacking the weakest part, which is senses. Senses कैसे बोला है? क्या बोला है कृष्ण ने? Curb this great symbol of sin or lust by regulating the senses. Senses को regulate करना है. So here is how systematically Krishna is answering that. Original question था, what is the thing that is impelling one? And then lust was there. And then how to strategically win over the lust, that is being explained. That Krishna is explained. And first of all, start with the senses and immediately try to kill this enemy called lust. And here is what Prabhupada says in this context. Read it.
Lust is only the perverted reflection of the love of God, which is natural for every living entity. But if one is educated in Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, that natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust. When love of God deteriorates into lust, it is very difficult to return to the normal condition. Nonetheless, Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service.
Even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service. So this is the hope for us. तो पहले तो मेरे को ये बताओ कि साइंस, senses, mind, intelligence. So why senses is considered to be weakest?
Because we get the data from the senses, and you said that mind and the senses are the repository by which intelligence gets developed. So we have to control the senses.
करेक्ट. तो सेंसेस इज द प्लेस वेयर सारा इनपुट आ रहा है हमारे पास. तो अगर सेंसेस को ही तुम भक्ति में लगाओगे तो देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन ऑफ गेटिंग एनी रॉन्ग इनपुट्स. तो ऑटोमेटिकली व्हेन यू पुट सेंसेस इन भक्ति डायरेक्शन, माइंड विल आल्सो बिकम लाइक दैट, इंटेलिजेंस विल आल्सो बिकम लाइक दैट. अगर डायरेक्ट माइंड को कंट्रोल करने गए तुम सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स के बीच में, और डायरेक्ट चलो मैं सोचा मैं माइंड को सिर्फ कृष्ण में लगाऊंगा, मैं बैठ के मेडिटेट कर लूँ, तो क्या होगा? जेमिनी ऋषि जैसा हालत होगा कि यू माइंड को फोकस नहीं कर पा रहे, सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स पे जा रहा है ध्यान, क्योंकि अभी सारा डेटा है अंदर माइंड के अंदर. इन माइंड ऑल काइंड ऑफ डेटा इज देयर स्टिल, इट हैज नॉट बीन क्लियर्ड आउट. बट इफ थ्रू सेंसेस, इफ यू टेक ऑल गुड इनपुट्स, ऑल भक्ति इनपुट्स, देन योर माइंड विल बिकम रेपोजिटरी ऑफ भक्ति. भक्ति का रेपोजिटरी बन जाएगा. आफ्टर दैट माइंड कैन बी कॉन्कर्ड इजीली, एंड आफ्टर दैट इंटेलिजेंस कैन बी कॉन्कर्ड वेरी इजीली. So that's why it is said to start with senses. And here Krishna is saying that, Prabhupada is saying that lust is only perverted reflection of love of Godhead, which is natural for every living entity. So हमने पढ़ा था याद है, स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड का जस्ट उल्टा रिफ्लेक्शन है मटेरियल वर्ल्ड. सो मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में लस्ट हाईएस्ट है, तो वैसे स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड में लव ऑफ गॉडहेड हाईएस्ट है. तो व्हाट इज दिस लस्ट एंड लव ऑल अबाउट? व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन लस्ट एंड लव? बताइए. Lust, what is the difference between lust and love?
Love is like giving and lust is taking.
The happiness we get from the lust is illusion, but the happiness we get from the love of Krishna is not illusion.
So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, very nice verse comes. It says, Atma Indriya Priti Vancha Tare Bole Kam Krishna Indriya Priti Ichha Dhare Prem Naam. So in one line it's saying the difference, that what is काम, what is lust? Atma Indriya Priti Vancha, I want to satisfy my own senses, that is lust. Somehow or the other I want to satisfy my own senses, that is lust. And what is prema, what is love? Krishna Indriya Priti Ichha, when I want to serve Krishna, when I want to satisfy Krishna, that is love. So that is the difference between love and lust. When I want to satisfy my own senses, that is lust. And I want to satisfy Krishna's senses, that is That is considered to be love. This is the basic difference between love and lust. So love is accompanied in three things: selflessness, sacrifice and service. जहाँ भी ये तीन चीज़ है वहाँ you can say that love is there. And जहाँ lust है, these three things will be absent. Because whenever lust is there, people are selfish. They want to think of their own sense gratification. There is no question of going through sacrifice for another person, and service तो दूर दूर तक बात नहीं है. So three things: selflessness, sacrifice and service. So love comprises all these kinds of things. And if this is not there, then it is lust only. So in this example, Atmendriya Prithivancha. So as soon as I comes, Atmendriya, मेरी इच्छा मुझे पूरी करना है, that is lust. So in this context, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there comes passage of Prahlad Maharaj and Narsimhadev. So सब कुछ हो गया, Narsimhadev killed Hiranyakashipu. At that time, he was very happy with Prahlad Maharaj. So he said, please ask me, what do you want, O Prahlad? Prahlad said, no, I don't want anything. So he said, no, tell me something which you want for yourself. Do you want a big kingdom? I can immediately give you a big kingdom. Do you want a nice, ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए, वो बोल रहे हैं, नहीं मुझे नहीं चाहिए. अरे ask something from me. Then Prahlad Maharaj says, oh Lord Narasimha, if you want to give me something, give me your bhakti. Just give me your devotion service and give me service of your devotees. This is the only wealth which I want. So pure devotees, they do not go for this Atmendriya. They know that if they go into gratifying their own senses, ultimately they will be entangled more. Their aim is just to satisfy Krishna. And that is only the thing which can release oneself, release one from the bondage. So लोग बोलते हैं ना कि भक्ति में आके क्या करना है, कृष्ण की सेवा करनी है. तो सेवा मतलब तो बॉन्डेज हो गया. बट नहीं, नाउ वी रियलाइज सेवा मीन्स ट्रू फ्रीडम. When you serve Krishna, at that time you attain ultimate happiness and you get freedom from this material world. So in Bhagavatam also it says that savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radoksaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. That savai pumsam paro dharma. What is the paro dharma, or topmost dharma for all the living entities?
Serving Krishna.
Yato bhaktir adoksaje. That bhakti to Krishna, it is the highest religion, it is the highest occupation for all the living entities. एक्सेप्ट फॉर दैट देयर इज बाकी सारा ऑक्यूपेशन है कि मैं जॉब कर रहा हूँ या ये कर रहा हूँ वो कर रहा हूँ, मैं लड़का हूँ, मैं इसका बेटा हूँ, मैं इसका पति हूँ. ये सब ऑक्यूपेशन सेकेंडरी है, बाद में आते हैं. बट हाईएस्ट ऑक्यूपेशन इज आई एम सर्वेंट ऑफ कृष्ण, आई एम डूइंग भक्ति ऑफ कृष्ण. दैट इज देयर. उससे क्या होगा? जस्ट बाय डूइंग दिस, जस्ट बाय एंगेजिंग इन सर्विस ऑफ कृष्ण, जस्ट बाय डूइंग भक्ति ऑफ कृष्ण, व्हाट विल हैपन? दैट इज आल्सो फर्दर सेड. तदा रजस्तमो भावो काम लोभादयश्चे चेत एतेरनाविदं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति. At that time what will happen? Tada rajastamo bhavo kama lobhadayasche cheta ete ranavitam. That this modes of rajas and tamas, and then kama and lobha, that greed and lust, all these cheta means chitta, all these will be cleaned away from chitta, all these will be cleaned away from mind when you involved in bhakti of Krishna. And sthitam sattve prasidati, you will be automatically promoted to mode of goodness. So mode of goodness में कैसे आना है? By regulating the senses, by engaging in service of Krishna, by doing this devotional service. Mode of goodness में क्या होगा? एवं प्रसन्न मनसो भगवत भक्ति योगतः भगवत तत्व विज्ञान मुक्त संगस्य जायते. That mode of goodness में आने से क्या होगा? Automatically प्रसन्न मनसो, mind will become very very happy, and मुक्त संगस्य जायते. At that time you will attain true liberation. So engaging your senses in service of Krishna is the only option, the best option. Except for that there is no option. That is only true love. So हमारे यहाँ भी हम देखते हैं, लोग बोलते हैं कि हाँ I love this person, I love this person. So all that is definitely it cannot be considered in category of love. It is lust only. Because some people are saying Atma Indriya Prithivancha, I want to enjoy. The closest relation which can come to pure love is that of material relations. If we talk, the closest which can come to that relation of devotee and God is the love between mother and son. That can come to the purest thing. क्योंकि बच्चा भी जब आधी रात को उठता है और रो कर उठता है तो मम्मी क्या फेंक दे देगा उसको साइड कि मेरा सोने का टाइम हो गया. नहीं, शी विल स्टिल केयर फॉर हम कि क्या हो गया, बेबी डायपर चेंज करना, खाना खिलाना, सब वो करती है ना, सेल्फलेसली शी डज. सो इट इज सेड मल्टीप्लाई दिस लव बाय 1 crore times, still it will not be able to equate with the how much Krishna loves us. So this is the closest relation which comes to the pure love. इसको भी 1 crore times मल्टीप्लाई कर लो तब कहीं पहुँचेगा वो भगवान का हमारे से प्रेम जो है इस लेवल पे. सो इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट इज ऐसा नहीं है कि हाँ चलो बहुत लेट हो गया, प्रहलाद महाराज सेठ की 5 साल की उम्र से शुरू करना चाहिए था, अभी तो 5 into 5 के भी ऊपर पहुंच गए, बहुत लेट हो गया है. But here Prabhupada is giving us hope that Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following regulative principles of devotional service. This is very very important. And further he says, please read this.
From any stage of life or from the time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord, and turn the lust into love of God, the highest perfectional stage of human life.
So here I wanted to stress this point of urgency, that urgency must be felt. हमने पहले ही डिस्कस किया, इतनी सारी योनियाँ हैं, 8.4 मिलियन स्पीशीज, उसमें भी ह्यूमन फॉर्म मिला है. In that human form also we have got this opportunity of devotee association. So it is so very, it is such a great opportunity to break this cycle of birth and death that you cannot even imagine. So first of all, urgency must be felt. ऐसा नहीं ठंडा ठंडा प्रोग्रेस, एवरी सैटरडे को बस आएंगे खाएंगे प्रसाद लेके चले जाएंगे, इससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं होगा, क्योंकि बाकी के 6 दिन तो तुम पीजी में ही हो, वहाँ का एसोसिएशन बैंड बजाएगा तुम्हारा. That's why attending these discourses regularly, बीच में वीकडे पे आ जाओ, continue your chanting process. I know in PG it is difficult to continue, but still सिर्फ रुके नहीं रहना है, आगे जाना है. 8 राउंड्स पे रुकना नहीं है. 8 राउंड्स इज नॉट द गोल. प्रभुपाद ने बोला मिनिमम 16, मिनिमम नॉट मैक्सिमम 16, मिनिमम 16, कम से कम 16. दैट इज द गोल. सो अगर अर्जेंसी पता चलेगा तभी तो करेंगे ठंडा ठंडा भक्ति. तो फिर 8 राउंड से मैंने बहुत देखा है, हमारे भी बहुत फॉलो अप थे, 8 से 6, 4, 2 गायब हो गए. एक देयर वाज वन कपल, they were at a very good position in corporate world and they came to bhakti. They started chanting 16 rounds also, but something happened in their life, उनका faith चला गया, they left bhakti, they left chanting 16 rounds and they said now we are very happy, क्योंकि अब दिन का 2 घंटा बच जाता है माला करने से. 16 माला तो दिन का 2 घंटा बच जाता है. This is how badly ignorance caught them. They don't know that they are getting entangled more and more. सो ठंडा ठंडा भक्ति करने से यू विल ग्रेजुअली गो अवे. बहुत केसेस देखे मैंने. प्रभुपाद यूज्ड टू से डोंट बी शॉक्ड दैट हाउ मेनी पीपल आर कमिंग, बी शॉक्ड बाय हाउ मेनी पीपल आर स्टेइंग. सो दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. और स्टे कब कर पाओगे जब यू आर क्लोजली इन द एसोसिएशन. अलग अलग ही अपनी दुनिया में रहोगे तो धीरे धीरे जिन लोगों के साथ हो वो खींच ले जाएंगे तुम्हें फॉर श्योर. सो स्टेइंग वेरी क्लोज इन डिवोटी एसोसिएशन इज द ओनली होप. एंड देन chanting 16 rounds, coming to these discourses and doing some services. Like हमने क्या बोला, सेंसेस को एंगेज करना है, एंड सेंसेस को एंगेज करने का बेस्ट वे इज डूइंग सम सर्विसेज लाइक वेसल वॉशिंग हो गया, क्लीनिंग हो गया, ये सब सर्विसेज. नाउ टेल मी व्हेन यू आर एंगेज्ड इन दिस सर्विसेज, वेसल वॉशिंग में जब इतना बर्तन धो रहे हो, पीठ दुख रहा है, एट दैट टाइम कैन यू इवन रिमेंबर लस्ट? लस्ट की याद आ ही नहीं सकती उस टाइम पे, बिकॉज यू आर एंगेज इन डिवोशनल सर्विस. या जब तुम कीर्तन में बैठे हो, अभी जब कीर्तन होगा, कीर्तन कर रहे हो, एट दैट टाइम लस्ट ऑटोमेटिकली याद नहीं आता, बिकॉज सेंसेस में अच्छा इनपुट आ रहा है, गुड इनपुट इज कमिंग इन योर सेंसेस, एंड एट दैट टाइम नेचुरली व्हेन भक्ति कम्स यू विल फॉरगेट, नेचुरली यू विल फॉरगेट लस्ट. सो दैट्स व्हाई डूइंग सम दिस टेंजिबल सर्विसेज इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. So it is said even little service you do for Krishna, that is your permanent bank account. बैंक अकाउंट में परमानेंटली चला जाता है. मटेरियल बैंक अकाउंट का क्या है, 1000 रुपये गए, उसको यूज़ कर लिया तो वापस कम हो गया. But any little service also you do for Krishna, like doing any cleaning service or anything you do for Krishna, that is your permanent asset. Will never go. Krishna will always remember कि हाँ उस दिन इसने मेरे लिए 10 मिनट कुछ सेवा की थी. I will not forget and he will try to pull living entities again and again. और यही चलता रहा लाइफ टाइम से. Krishna is again and again pulling and हम मैनेज टू गो अवे. जैसे क्रिकेट होता है ना, क्रिकेट में देखते कि यार बैट्समैन जोर से मारता है और चौके की तरफ जा रहा होता है, बहुत सारे फील्डर जाके रोकने का प्रयास करते हैं पर बॉल फिर भी चला जाता है, डाइव भी करते हैं पर चला जाता है. वैसे कृष्णा इज ऑल्सो डाइविंग अस टू सेव, बट हम भी अच्छे से एस्केप करके बाउंड्री लाइन पार करके चले जाते हैं. तो कृष्णा इज गिविंग अस सो मेनी फैसिलिटीज़. आज आपके पास डिवोटी एसोसिएशन का फैसिलिटी है, आपके पास मंदिर का फैसिलिटी है, आपके पास प्रसाद का फैसिलिटी है, सब कुछ है. और क्या करेंगे कृष्ण? जस्ट हमको वी हैव टू डू प्रूव आवर सिंसियरिटी. द सिंसियरिटी इज रेगुलरली कमिंग, फीलिंग द अर्जेंसी, ये ठंडी ठंडी भक्ति साइड में करके डूइंग रेगुलर प्रैक्टिस, दैट इज ओनली द ट्रूथ. अगर कुछ देना है हमको कृष्णा को तो वी कैन गिव आवर सिंसियरिटी, और कुछ नहीं दे सकते. ही हैज़ एवरीथिंग. So इतना opportunity he is doing, he is giving us so much opportunity, so it's our goal also to reciprocate very nicely. This I want you to take from this session. It's very, very important. So same association is very, very important. Now another question Arjuna might ask, that senses should be controlled first. Now Arjuna said that senses should be controlled first. And now Krishna is giving another thing which might seem a little contradictory, but let's understand this. Indriyani paraniyahu.
Indriyani parinahu.
Indriyebhya param manaha.
Indriyebhya param manaha.
Manasastu parabuddhir.
Manasastu parabuddhir.
Yo buddhe paratastu saha.
Yo buddhe paratastu saha.
Translation.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
So हमारे बॉडी किस चीज का बना है? पंच महाभूत. पंच तत्व तो वो है जय कृष्ण चैतन्य को. पंच महाभूत क्या है? अर्थ, वाटर, फायर, एयर, ईथर. तो बॉडी तो सेंसेस भी तो उसी का बना है. सेंसेस भी तो उसी का बना है. तो व्हाई कृष्णा इज सेइंग दैट सेंसेस आर सुपीरियर टू डल मैटर? सेंसेस आर पार्ट ऑफ बॉडी, नो? Why Krishna is saying the senses are about body? See, very easy to understand that actually our senses are subtle. ये तो gross, this is just a medium through which we are seeing. Clear example, when you sleep, तो कई बार सपना आता है. आंखें तो बंद है पर फिर भी चीज़ें देख पाते हैं ना. फिर भी सपने में भी खा पाते हो, सपने में भी सूंघ पाते हो. क्यों? Because senses are subtle. It is not just gross manifestation. This is just a gross manifestation, outer manifestation. So actually speaking, senses are subtle. And even more subtler than senses is mind. More subtler than mind is intelligence. So like that he says, and above all of them is spirit soul. So he says, conquer. उन्होंने क्या ऑप्शन दिया? क्या बोला? पहले conquer these senses. So further he says that soul is engaged in service of Lord, and everything else will fall into the place. But now Krishna is saying something else. See, he says, evam buddhe param buddhva.
Evam buddhe param buddhva.
Samsthabhyatmanam atmana.
Samsthabhyatmanam
atmana. Jahi shatrum mahabaho.
Jahi shatrum mahabaho.
Kama rupam durashadam.
Kama rupam durashadam.
Read the translation.
Thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material sense, mind and intelligence. O mighty Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer the
insatiable
enemy non-manifest.
Insatiable मतलब पता है? Satiable means something that can be satisfied. Insatiable means it cannot be satisfied. So here Krishna first says understand the hierarchy. बॉडी के ऊपर सेंसेस, सेंसेस के ऊपर माइंड, इंटेलिजेंस, सोल. तो नोइंग दैट यू आर ट्रांसेंडेंटल टू दिस माइंड, सेंसेस एंड इंटेलिजेंस इन्वॉल्विंग कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस. सो पहले कृष्णा ने क्या बोला? फर्स्ट एंगेज सेंसेस, एंड नाउ कृष्णा इज सेइंग एंगेज सोल. तो क्या करें? सेंसेस को एंगेज करें या सोल को एंगेज करें? व्हाट टू डू? तो So thing is, when you engage senses, automatically soul is engaged ना. जब तुम भक्ति के कामों में लगे हुए हैं, like for example, you are hearing me right now, you are hearing this class. So when you are hearing me, you are automatically doing this spiritual activity, and soul is automatically hearing. So activity तो soul ही कर रहा है through the medium of senses. So that's how we understand. And when you engage in these devotional activities, there is no question of lust entering into mind. I give example that if you are sitting in kirtan with devotees, is there any possibility of committing any sinful activity? No. So this is how Krishna has answered the question of Arjuna. कि sinful activity है, I am being forced to commit sinful activity through this lust. Lust is entering through senses, mind, intelligence. But you engage through senses. Through senses you engage into my devotional activities. There will be no place for lust to enter. Automatically lust नहीं है तो sinful activity नहीं होगा. So that's how you become free from committing the sinful activities. This is how very nicely engaged. So our goal is to engage every single organ in service of the Lord. Now you tell me how कैसे each and every organ हम include कर सकते हैं भगवान की सेवा में. तो आइज को कैसे एंगेज करेंगे?
Looking at the actual
By looking at the beautiful deities of the Lord, instead of looking the so-called beauty of this world, so-called beautiful girls of this world, better engage in looking at the beautiful. See, deities are very nicely decorated. आप SNGM वाले टेम्पल, HBR लेआउट वाले टेम्पल कौन कौन आया? आप ही हैं? You also are not. अच्छा, तो HBR लेआउट we have very nicely they are decorated. Deities are decorated so nicely. मन करता है उन्हीं को देखते रहे. So this is how you can engage your eyes in looking at the deities. How can you in service of the Lord? How can you engage your ears?
just in Kirtan.
कीर्तन है, जैसे अभी क्लास में बैठे हो, you are engaging your ears, and then how do you engage tongue? प्रसाद के पहले इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ क्या है? लेकिन नेचुरली प्रसाद पहले आता है, इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. इनिशियली भी डिवोटीज आते हैं, दे आर मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन प्रसाद ओनली. And as soon as they eat prasad, this prasad only is so purifying that gradually they become addicted. They start coming, they chanting भी करते हैं. Even you see 99% of devotees का जर्नी प्रसाद से ही शुरू होता है. जन्म पहले प्रसाद के लिए आते हैं, फिर इतना क्लास सुनते हैं, प्योरिफिकेशन आ जाता है, फिर चलो चैंटिंग करते हैं, फिर बाकियों को भी प्रसाद के थ्रू ही फंसाते हैं. ऐसे करते करते पॉपुलेशन बढ़ा है इस्कॉन का. So tongue को you can engage by chanting and prasad. How can you engage your nose? स्मेलिंग. जब आरती हो जाता है तो फ्लावर्स आते हैं आपके पास, तो स्मेलिंग द फ्लावर्स. हाउ कैन यू एंगेज योर हैंड्स एंड लेग्स? वेसल वॉशिंग, क्लीनिंग वगैरह हैंड्स. लेग्स को जब तुम कमिंग टू द टेम्पल, अभी तो खैर बाइक पे आते हैं पर दैट इज ऑल्सो इंक्लूडेड. तो या डूइंग एनी एंगेजिंग एनी ऑफ योर सेंसेस फॉर सर्विस ऑफ कृष्णा. बाय दिस यू कैन easily do this. And when we use our senses for service of Lord, spirit soul is engaged, and then we get purified and we can conquer our lust, and we can go closer and closer to Lord, and finally you can be happy and spiritually satisfied. Is it very difficult process? नहीं है ना. जंगल में जाके ऐसा तो बोला नहीं जंगल में चले जाओ, योगा करो, जिम्नास्टिक्स करो, मेडिटेशन करो, ये वो नहीं है ना. स्टेइंग इन सिटी ऑल्सो यू कैन डू इट. बस क्या करना है, आना है, प्रसाद लेना है, चैंटिंग करना है, डिवोटी के एसोसिएशन में रहना है, अच्छा इनपुट मिलते रहे, बस सब कुछ बैठ जाएगा. So it's not a very difficult process. That's why Krishna has given this process in this age. It's a very easy process, but still हम इतना भी नहीं कर पा रहे. Krishna is giving so many facilities, but still we are somehow or the other we are misusing it. So that's why come into the association of devotees regularly, eat prasad, and so many facilities he has given. Just respect those facilities and take advantage of these facilities. So Krishna is finally saying to Arjuna that your real enemy is not Duryodhana. दुर्योधन तुम्हारा एनिमी नहीं है. योर एनिमी सिटिंग इन योर माइंड इन योर फॉर्म ऑफ लस्ट. ही इज द ट्रू एनिमी. ऑफ कोर्स इन अर्जुन इट इज नॉट देयर बट by making Arjuna as medium he is giving this knowledge to us. So that's why he is saying to us that the real enemy is sitting in your mind in the form of lust. So you have to win over that. And one who can control his senses, mind, intelligence, he is the person who can win over the whole world. ऐसा नहीं जिसके माइंड सेंसेस से कंट्रोल नहीं है वो सोचता है कि हाँ मैं दुनिया पे राज करूँगा. And these can be controlled only through the process of bhakti. So in summary, if we can see, this is the art of mind control. So regulate the senses in Krishna consciousness. How can you regulate? By eating only prasad, by avoiding outside food. Somehow or the other, I want to engage in eating only prasad. This is also regulation. Regulation in waking up. मुझे इतने बजे उठना ही है. I want to wake up in Brahma Muhurat. I will wake up early. I will chant. That is regulation. I will sleep for 6 hours only. That is a regulation. I will eat only this much quantity of food daily. That is regulation. So regulation को लाना है अपनी लाइफ में. Strengthening the spiritual intelligence. That all outside में बाहर जो चीज़ें कर रहे हैं that will entangle me more and more. I want to अभी मैं जो कर रहा हूँ it's seeming like poison but ultimately it will be nectar. So using your intelligence you engage in this devotion service, and finally engage the mind in service of the Lord. Engage each and every sense in controlling the engage each and every sense in service of the Lord, and that's why you will be win over this enemy lust. So we saw how initially the question was how can we what is that force which is making us to commit sinful activity. Answer was lust is the only thing. Then he said that lust can never be satisfied. He gave the 3 gradations of lust. क्या थे वो 3 gradations? Fire, smoke, mirror,
and dust, embryo and
womb. Then he said characteristic of lust that it can never be satisfied. So use your spiritual intelligence. Don't engage into these activities. Finally, he said that lust is sitting at 3 places. What are those 3 places?
Senses,
Senses, mind, intelligence.
What is the solution?
We have
What
to
is the
control
weakest
senses.
enemy?
Senses.
Senses. So engage senses in
Senses.
service of the Lord. Simple method is given. This simple method, if you follow, you will be able to win over the list very nicely. So, any questions? Yes,
So you said like out of 8.4 million, 0.4
8.4 massive.
0.4 million is your human. Human is one species. What is this point?
No, these species are based upon consciousness. Like जैसे हम ट्राइबल में भी देखते हैं, ट्राइबल स्पीशीज दे आर ऑल्सो ह्यूमन बट दे आर very very similar to those of animal categories because their consciousness is not at that level, you know. And you see highest consciousness is that of Brahma. इनका पूरा बॉडी इंटेलिजेंस से बना है. सो इन दोनों के बीच में 40 जो बचा हुआ 400,000 स्पीशीज है वो लाई करता है. So it's not based upon external body, but it is based upon consciousness. These species are based upon consciousness. Any other thing? क्लियर है ना सबको क्या करना है?
एंड जो वो आश्रम में गुरु जी थे, उन्होंने सेंसेस कंट्रोल करे कि उन्होंने ऊपर नहीं देखा, उनका माइंड भी कंट्रोल था कि वो स्पिरिचुअल में चैंटिंग कर रहे थे. देन स्टिल वो कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रहे, लर्नर जो पर्सन था.
क्योंकि उनके पास नॉलेज था बट डिवोशन में इतने परफेक्ट नहीं हुए थे. नॉलेज था वो. व्यासदेव का स्टेटमेंट क्या था कि इवन लर्नेड पर्सन का सेंसेस चला जाता है, और इनका पॉइंट था मैं लर्नेड हूँ, मैंने इतना स्क्रिप्चर्स पढ़ा है, तो मेरा कैसे माइंड डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो सकता है. दैट पॉइंट वाज प्रूव्ड, बट इट्स नॉट दैट ही वाज अ प्योर डिवोटी के प्लेटफॉर्म पे थे. ऑब्वियसली द गोल वाज दैट, बट प्योर डिवोटी का हमने देखा अर्जुन का और हरिदास ठाकुर का एग्जाम्पल दिया कि उन लोग का नहीं हुआ. तो हमारा भी सॉल्यूशन यही है कि कंप्लीटली इनसे दूर बचने के लिए हमें भी प्योर डिवोशनल प्लेटफॉर्म पे ही आना है. बाकी के प्रोसेसेस विल नॉट हेल्प यू.
इंटेंस डिज़ायर से लस्ट आता है, तो हमको इंटेंस डिज़ायर को कंट्रोल करना है. तो हमको माइंड की हेल्प से सेंसेस को कंट्रोल करना है. जैसे इंटेलिजेंस सबसे ऊपर है, देन माइंड है, देन सेंसेस है. लाइक
सेंसेस, माइंड, इंटेलिजेंस.
पर्सन कंट्रोल कर रहा है रूप से
रोग से
फोर्सेस
सेंसेस.
को.
हाँ.
तो हमें इंटेलिजेंस की हेल्प से माइंड को कंट्रोल, माइंड से
माइंड सेंसेस से कनेक्टेड है, तो इंटेलिजेंस से की हेल्प से माइंड को रेगुलेट करना है ताकि वो सेंसेस को कंट्रोल कर सके. वो दैट इज द हायरार्की. तो हमारे लेवल पे हमको क्या करना है कि बाहर से बहुत सारा रॉन्ग इनपुट आएगा सेंसेस में, वो माइंड में बैठेगा, तो वो हमको क्लियर है. पहले तो ट्राई करना है खराब इनपुट ही ना मिले. उसके लिए डिवोटी एसोसिएशन में ही रहना है, क्योंकि वहाँ से अच्छा इनपुट मिलेगा. और दूसरा चीज़ है ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा अच्छा इनपुट लेना है. तो डिवोटी एसोसिएशन में रहोगे तो दोनों चीज़ ऑटोमेटिक हो जाएगी. खराब इनपुट नहीं मिलेगा और अच्छा इनपुट जाएगा नहीं. दीज टू थिंग्स यू हैव टू.
लस्ट कुछ भी हो सकता है, अपोजिट जेंडर,
नॉट जस्ट अपोजिट जेंडर बट कुछ भी. सेंसेस के लिए सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट इज लस्ट, उसको वो चाहिए. और डिज़ायर भी कैसे आता है हमने देखा, जब कंटेम्पलेशन होता है. तो जब भी चैंटिंग करते टाइम भी बहुत थॉट्स आते हैं, तो वो थॉट्स हटा करके हमको चैंटिंग पे ध्यान देना है. तो कंटेम्पलेशन आएगा. वो माइंड तो हमने इतने लाइफ टाइम से हमने एन्जॉयमेंट किया है, तो माइंड विल डेफिनेटली ट्रिक यू, बट स्टिल somehow or the other you have to pray to Krishna that please give me strength to control my mind and try to control your try to engage your senses more and more. So finally at some point of time you will be able to control and win over this lust.
द वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग दैट हमको स्टार्टिंग में उसको रोक देना, क्योंकि हम मिडल में
हाँ, बीच में तो रुक नहीं सकते. पहाड़ से कूद गए, कूदने के बाद नहीं रुक सकते. तो इनिशियल पॉइंट पे ही रुकना है हमको. कंटेम्पलेशन अगर डीप हो गया ना तो वो डिज़ायर में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा, फिर अटैचमेंट, लस्ट, एंगर और पूरा फॉल डाउन हो जाएगा. नोट्स बना रहे हैं ना आप लोग, ये सब बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स है, लिख के रखना है. दिस सेशन वाज आई ओपनर फॉर मी आल्सो. मैं भी 2 साल पहले इधर ही बैठा था, ये सब सुन के बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट. तो नोट्स बनाना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है इस चीज़ में. और एक और कोई क्वेश्चन तो नहीं है किसी को? तो फ्यू अनाउंसमेंट्स थे. सो वी आर इंट्रोड्यूसिंग दिस साधना रिपोर्ट. So you are all doing your activities, minimum chanting of some rounds and doing reading, hearing. So we just want to regulate it. So it will be very very helpful if you all also cooperate with it. So we want to track all of your sadhanas बिकॉज जब तक हमारे सर पे कोई सुपीरियर नहीं होगा तो नेचुरली कभी मन करेगा तो करेंगे, कभी मन नहीं करेगा तो छोड़ भी देंगे. बट अगर ऊपर है कि हाँ सुपीरियर बैठा है उसको मेरे को आंसर करना है तो एटलीस्ट उसके प्रेशर में विल कंटिन्यू आवर एक्टिविटीज़. So for that, it will be very helpful if you all can send your sadhana reports to us daily on the daily basis. So आपको कुछ नहीं करना, WhatsApp पे आकाश मंगलानी प्रभु है, उनको WhatsApp पे डेली आप 3 चीज़ें भेजो. मैंने कितना रीडिंग किया, कितना हेयरिंग किया और कितना राउंड ऑफ चैंटिंग किया. जस्ट सेंड दिस 3 things to आकाश मंगलानी प्रभु and he will be updating to me. So I will get all your reports through it. So this is only way to regulate yourself. So that you will think कि हाँ किसी को आंसर देना है मेरे को तो आई विल डू रेगुलरली सो दैट योर माइंड कैन नॉट ट्रिक. सो प्लीज़ कोऑपरेट, सेंड योर साधना रिपोर्ट्स डेली. वी विल स्टार्ट विथ टुमारो इटसेल्फ, संडे से. आई पोस्ट इन ग्रुप ऑल्सो. बहुत लोग क्लास में नहीं है, नेक्स्ट वीक भी मैं अनाउंस करूँगा. सो ट्राई टू ब्रिंग योर साधना रिपोर्ट्स. दिस इज ओनली डन फॉर योर बेनिफिट, फॉर योर सो दैट यू कैन बी मोर रेगुलर. सो एवरीवन प्लीज रिपोर्ट टू इट. एंड वी ऑल्सो हैव समथिंग कॉल्ड एज भक्ति स्टेप्स. इसके बारे में अनाउंसमेंट हुआ है कुछ भक्ति स्टेप. सो देर आर वेरियस लेवल्स, 1 राउंड, 4 राउंड, 8 राउंड, 12 राउंड, 16 राउंड्स पे आते आते. सो धीरे धीरे हर एक लेवल पे हमने बुक्स भी इंट्रोड्यूस की है कि व्हेन यू आर ऑन 4 राउंड्स यू हैव टू फिनिश दीज बुक्स, व्हेन यू आर 8 राउंड यू हैव टू फिनिश दीज बुक्स एंड यू हैव टू फॉलो दीज थिंग्स. ये चीज़ है. तो अभी हम नेक्स्ट 3 months में एग्ज़ाम आता है. एवरी 3 months 1 एग्ज़ाम कम्स. तो आप लोग 4 राउंड्स का एग्जाम दे सकते हैं. तो उसके लिए बुक्स है, सम बुक्स आर देयर विच यू हैव टू फिनिश. आई थिंक यू माइट हैव ऑलरेडी फिनिश्ड बियॉन्ड बर्थ एंड डेथ, वो सारी बुक्स है. सो जस्ट गो थ्रू इट एंड वी वांट अ सिस्टमेटिक वे इन विच यू कैन प्रोग्रेस. सो यू स्टार्ट विथ 4 राउंड्स एग्जाम. ऐसा नहीं कि मैं 4 राउंड पे आ जाऊँगा वो एग्जाम देने के लिए. यू कंटिन्यू योर राउंड्स वट एवर यूर डूइंग, बट स्टार्ट फ्रॉम 4 राउंड वो वाले एग्जाम देना है. उसके लिए बुक्स आर देयर, रीडिंग मटेरियल आर देयर. सो ट्राई टू फिनिश दोज. उसका सिलेबस भी मैं ग्रुप पे डाल दूँगा, है ना. और दूसरा इज मेलकोटे यात्रा. तो मेलकोटे यात्रा नेक्स्ट मंथ वी आर गोइंग टू दिस यात्रा. तो क्लास में ही हमने देखा इट्स वेरी रेयर अपॉर्चुनिटी और सच यात्राज आर बूस्टर्स. एक लेवल 1 में मैं आता था और फिर यात्रा ले गए तो उसके बाद ही मैं सीरियस हुआ. बिकॉज यात्रा इज़ 24 hours एंगेजमेंट इन डिवोशनल सर्विस. वो कहीं नहीं मिलता. ऑफिस के साथ तुम भक्ति कर रहे हो, पर दिस विल बी कंडक्टेड इन वीकेंड, सैटरडे संडे, वेर 24 hours सिर्फ भक्ति होगी. शुरुआत से लेकर क्लास, चैंटिंग और वही सब प्रसाद, वही सब होगा. So you will get an amazing experience. So I would request don't miss this. So कितने लोग who are planning to come for यात्रा? कम जा रहे यही टाइम पे. Okay. आप प्रभु will be coming.
I'm planning to go.
What about you? You will be coming. हाँ. So plan accordingly and try to register as soon as possible so that we can get the count and we can make arrangements. क्योंकि next month ही जाना है तो registration close करने होंगे, सब arrangements करने होंगे. तो रजिस्टर प्रसाद प्रभु वेंकट जिनका श्योर है वो तो आज ही रजिस्टर कर दो, है ना. एंड यू श्योर है, डाउट नहीं है तो फिर लेट नहीं करना. जस्ट रजिस्टर नाउ ओनली. और बाकी लोग देखिए प्लान अकॉर्डिंग. ठीक है. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर listening to me cooperatively for 1.5 hours. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.